guys, how's it going? Welcome along to my Q&A. I haven't done one of these. I don't actually think I've done a Q&A before. I've sort of been working with a company called JJ Music who, oh, let me turn this down, sorry. Who sort of do some bespoke work that I sort of stumbled across. And yeah, I think, it's going to, obviously it's a difficult time right now for musicians, full stop. So I figured a bit of a Q&A about some of the things I'm going to try and implement in Tearfallz that's going to kind of bridge some of the gap before perhaps we can get back onto a live show. So welcome, everyone to this location where, I hope everyone is keeping well, and feel free to say hi. But yeah, it's my first Q&A. Who's in the room? Let's have a look. So I think we have got. Actually, why don't you introduce yourself? I have a wonderful person holding the camera, who's also working as part of JJ Music. So you want to say hi?
Hi everyone, my name is Dawn, and I'm working with Katie on her Tearfallz project. So it's great to see so many people checking in to say hi and to hear what she's got to say. So we've got a lot of questions that have been coming through on Messenger today. So Katie, do you want to take the first question to kick the party off?
Yeah, can do. Why not? Let's just get talking and then just watch the
Okay.
feed. So have you got can you see anything that's coming up? Someone said hi.
Yeah, you've got Simon saying evening hi.
Hi Simon.
Paul McIntyre,
Hey,
hello, Paul. Looking forward to this. We've got Denny Bentley watching here. Paul Soper, Ronald Anderson. We've got Angela Herbert, who
Hi, Angela.
we have to credit Angela for the beautiful photograph she gave us permission to use.
She did,
on the advert, I suppose, for this, really, the little online thing.
So welcome one and all. Hi Simon. We'll be talking about Simon later. I'm sure maybe if a question comes up, I'm sure we might cover that as well. If we have any questions or.
We have the first question if you're ready for it, Katie.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, I have to say, everyone, that these questions have been coming in and I've not spoken to Katie about these, so these are all going to be a little bit of a surprise, so this could be a lot of fun. But the first question, we've got Dave from Birmingham who wants to know where the name Tearfallz comes from.
Oh, okay. So Tearfallz, I've been in rock bands for probably... Goodness me. Hold on a second. So, goodness me, about 28 years. On and off. Mostly on the Bristol and Bath scene. Mostly punk rock and always loud, full electric music. And... I was basically a lead singer for most of those bands. I played bass guitar in some of the bands on the way through. But since really 4 years ago when I picked up my guitar for a band before the Wild Strays, I really got into songwriting a lot more. And I think it's no secret that, it's been a rocky road sometimes on a bit of depression on my part, maybe. Not so much anymore, but, I've had my moments. So to be able to write some music... actually, what was the question? See, I'll go off on a waffle.
You have gone off on an epic waffle. And what Dave actually wanted to know was where you got the name Tearfallz from.
Right, okay. So the name Tearfallz was based off of, a waterfall. So, i.e., tears of a waterfall. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I can imagine tears rolling down your cheeks. So, as in Tearfallz. But speaking to JJ Music recently, we got talking about the name, and they said perhaps Tearfallz could also be sort of happy tears, or celebration tears, or euphoric tears, which sort of kind of suits in with some of the music that's being written nowadays, because it's a lot more positive than maybe it has been. So that's where the name come from. Tearfallz, waterfalls, tears. It's been a very cathartic sort of solo project to kind of write, and I never thought that I would, it would be at the forefront of my music right now. But it's great to give it some time, and that's where Tearfallz comes from.
Well, thank you. That's a great answer to that question. We've got another question that's come in. This one doesn't have a name against it, but there's a lot of interest actually in the guitar that you're sitting next to.
Okay.
And this guitar is, it's being seen as your Tearfallz guitar. Mm-hmm. It's often in a lot of the promotional photographs and videos that you do for Tearfallz. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I went to see Lizzie Hell from Hellstorm, and I was stood there, and her guitar came out with a sound engineer, and like the crowd just went wild for her guitar, and that was kind of like the first thing I thought, wow, isn't it cool that just her guitar can kind of do that. So I had like an ESP LTD Explorer for a band called Feral back in 2016. And that sort of became synonymous with that band. And then more recently, obviously the Wild Strays, I had my Ibanez RG called Storm. So my favourite flowers in the world are daisies. And I sort of found Daisy Rock. So with the Daisy Rock guitar, it's an American guitar, so it's come from America. And it has daisies all the way through the fretboard, which I love, and it's gorgeous, and it sort of I treated myself to it, and then it became my Tearfallz guitar. So this is Daisy. Yeah, the interesting thing about Tearfallz obviously is that it's only me, so I intend to have Tearfallz around for as long as I'm walking on this planet. So evidently we might upgrade poor Daisy over time, but she'll never go into retirement like Storm did. So yeah, that's my Daisy Rock guitar, and you don't see many of them around, not Daisy Rock. So yeah, Daisy Rock.
Okay, well, it's great to have Daisy as part of the live Q&A tonight. Okay, so let's have a look down the list of questions here then. Okay, so how old were you when you first got into music, and how did you get your lucky break?
Lucky break! Oh my goodness! I'm just, I'm very much like a grassroots musician, artist. And, what I try and do, and, a lot of that is an expression of me, and a lot of it is, trying to keep sane. And of course, I want to go out there and try and, put some music out there that perhaps one or two people might like, and play some shows and just enjoy music, which is exactly what music should be. So I don't believe I've got like a lucky break, but that's very kind to say so. What was the first part of the question?
How old were you when you first got into music?
Okay, so I remember sort of, dancing around my room in the 80s, singing into a hairbrush to Martika and Madonna and many others. But then I quickly found rock and Metallica. So to answer the question without going into a complete waffle, although maybe we should, but I would have been probably about 18, 19. 18, 19, and I was a lead vocalist for a punk band, really. And we used to play sort of Bath, Bristol. But it was raucous days back then. I'm not saying that we don't have the raucous days now, but, kind of doing all kinds of things, it's now there seems to be a lot of professionalism on the music circuit. I think that's fair to say. A lot of the musicians I meet, are very professional. But in the sort of like 90s, it was a bit more reckless, I think.
Okay, so there's another question that's come in, which actually just moves on from that quite nicely. It's who would you say are your most musical influences?
Oh wow. Okay, I'm a big Joan Jett fan. You know, right from the get go. Um, just her attitude of of being a obviously as Susie Quattro and Chrissy Hind and people like this. Um, Lita Ford, great guitarist, fantastic front women. Um, but more recently, sort of Crash Diet, Sleaze Scene. Um, Crucified Barbara, but there's also a lot of local bands that I've been lucky enough to play alongside in Birmingham that continue to inspire me. The Ramonas are great girls, they're fantastic, and were extremely kind to me, sort of talking about how to maintain a good vocal, when you're on tour. And I find most really, we look to these bigger bands as inspiration, but really, if you go out onto the independent circuit, you're rubbing shoulders with these people that are working just as hard to sort of, put some music out there. That's inspirational as well.
Okay, so thank you very much. So a lot of people watching and a lot of your fan base will know that, as you say, you've got a very long and diverse history into rock bands, punk rock bands. And Tearfallz is another expression of your artistry. Do you think that you'll ever just stick with one type of music, or do you think you need both?
That's a great question, whoever sent that in. I think there's always got to be this yin and yang, I absolutely love pouring my heart into my acoustic stuff. I get to write with a very free wheel. I haven't got to kind of like co-write with people. Although that's something that I might be doing. There's a couple of special guests that maybe not co-writing with, but they might join me on a couple of bigger dates. I mean, obviously we'll come to the dates next year, but I've got to have this. I've got to have both sides. There's nothing like being in a band. That camaraderie that goes on, travelling to the gig, mixing with other bands and just going loud. It gets in your blood, and it becomes like a drug almost. But I'm slowly working on building another band. Watch this space unless you want to push me for another question.
Well, I'd like to push you for some further question on that, actually. I'd like to say, how is that going so far? What's your new venture looking like? And you've told us a little bit your guitars and your relationship with your guitars with the bands. So tell us a little bit about the new venture, what you can tell us so far, and whether there'll be a new guitar joining the family.
Well, a new guitar, I definitely have put Storm, my Ibanez, my Wild Strays guitar into retirement. It will sit on my wall, proudly hung, and I'll pick it up and play at home, but it won't hit the stage again. So there is another guitar on the horizon, and it's currently on order. I'm super excited about it. I've never had this type of guitar before, and it's a twin. So more will come out on that, but I believe it's due to arrive in December. I don't want to talk too much about my next guitar, but I think I'm probably going to obviously be excited around December. So I might have to do a Facebook Live, or at least a little video on my YouTube channel, talking about my new guitar and how excited I am. But the B-side to that question was, so I've got 3 new songs written for the new band, and I've got a new bass player on the horizon. We haven't got into the studio yet. A lot of this is to do with the pandemic. It's just difficult times at the moment. I don't believe that we're gonna maybe hit the stage until next summer, so that's probably my bad for not hitting the studio as quickly as perhaps we should. But I know that this particular bass player is in the waiting, and he's also writing more material. So we just need a drummer, and I'll head up the band until we get a lead guitarist. I'm a through and through rhythm guitarist. That's what I do. I enjoy doing a vocal and rhythm, although I'm learning more lead. So I hope to be back front and centre. I will be front and centre for this band, and if I can pull off a bit of lead as well, then that'll be great. But I'm super excited for next year. I think this lockdown's been hard for all of us mentally, and I can't wait to get back on stage. I think it's a therapy for a lot of us, and hell yeah, Tearfallz and another project will always run together. That keeps me balanced. So yeah.
Well, with things being so uncertain with the pandemic and lockdowns and regional lockdowns, I know that you had a couple of dates booked for the beginning of next year, which sometimes might seem a bit uncertain right now. But what are your plans, do you think, for your live music for next year? What would you like to aspire to?
Yeah. So this year it was pitched to be obviously 2020 is a song in my catalogue. Of songs, and I think most people, the turn of a new decade, had a lot of things pitched for this year. I had gigs booked for Tearfallz in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Sheffield, Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, Nottingham, Cardiff, Bristol and London. But all of that has kind of slid to the wayside. I'm itching to get back out there and take Tearfallz on the road. But it's all been put to one side. So we look to next year. So was the question about new music, right?
Yeah, and what sort of plans you might have for next year, albeit with the uncertainty?
Okay. So next year a tour's got to take place. I think being a solo artist, maybe, just maybe, open mics will come back around and I can do a few gigs around the country. I think bands as a whole, even though I'm building a band, I think that's probably going to take a little bit longer. So there's dates plans for next year, and this probably, I'm going to force the question, this will bring on the reasoning to what I'm about to do over the next few months. Should we talk about that?
Please, go for it. This is your Q&A.
Okay, cool. So basically, the thought is that I have some cracking songs that I've been writing for Tearfallz, and it's probably some of my strongest work. I know you've heard it, Dawn. So on the 17th of October, there's going to be a preview of Coastal Girl, which I'm super proud of. On the 17th of November, there'll be a preview of another track called #Wait. And then just in time for Christmas, 17th of December, there's a track called Ghost. And then on the 17th of January, there will be another premiere, premiering all these brand new songs. And then shortly after that, I'm hoping to get into the studio, record an EP, and then start publicising the track to then go on tour through March and April and May. That's certainly the plan. But the pandemic won't stop those releases of October 17th, November 17th, December 17th, and then the premiere January 17th. So there's 4 clear things coming out for Tearfallz, and I'm super proud of that. So I think musicians or bands out there can still work hard, and I know it's online and different things like that, and maybe we'll get some merchandise out, but there's nothing like playing live, so hopefully we can get out live next year.
Fantastic. I'm just going to take a break from the questions there just to go through to the chat.
Okay.
Have a drink, and we do notice you're drinking KT cider, which, a happy accident. Well,
I did see Chris Long in the chat. Chris is from Bristol. He's a roadie for the Ramonas, and is also roadied for Joan Jett, bless him. He's a fantastic guy with many stories. And he's like me, he's from the West Country, so I love my Thatcher's cider. This is a Thatcher's cider. And of course it's KT, so why not? So
Why not? Well, listen, we've got some comments in here. We've got John McTighe saying, hi, KT.
hey, John.
We've got Darren Sutton. Hey up, Duck, you okay?
Hey up, Duck, he's mine. So Darren Sutton is a promoter, a fantastic guy who does promotions up in Stoke-on-Trent. Been lucky to do a couple of gigs with him, and hopefully, maybe I've sort of maybe do a Tearfallz thing, something like that. John McTing is my friend from New York, and it's great to have you on board. God knows what time it is in New York.
Okay, so we've got a Simon Horsworth saying he's super excited too, he. And we've got Andy Owen saying, evening KT, how are you doing? Okay, can't wait to see what you're up to in Tearfallz going forward.
Oh, hi Andy, thank you so much. Really appreciate everyone stopping by tonight. I think, just have an opportunity to kind of like just waffle, really. That's what I do best. As I say, sort of, working with JJ Music, I know they have, how many artists have you got on your books?
4.
Four artists on their books. So it's a real pleasure to have an opportunity to kind of do a bit of Q&A and have a bit of a laugh, really. But I can't wait to release the music in, what is it now? It's just under a month away.
And tomorrow you're heading into a smaller studio to get down some final bits of your first song. Which of your songs do you think is the most special to you at the moment?
That's really hard to say. I think these particular new songs, I was playing A Night to Remember, Runaway, 2020, and I was playing them before because I knew I was going to hit the studio. They're great songs, but these new ones seem to have a lot more, I don't know, they just feel stronger. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm really starting to get my grip with Tearfallz now, and so to pick a favourite is quite hard for me at the moment. I have an idea of what the single will be in February, but until they kind of go out into the public domain and you get a little bit of feedback. Don't be too hard on me, but yeah, at the moment it's too early to say if I have a favourite. I'm just going to keep my head down, work hard on getting the best out I can of the track, and hopefully in sort of February, March latest, we'll have a 6-track EP that we can sort of take on the road and play.
Okay, well I can see that we've got 2, maybe 3 questions left to put to you this evening so far.
Okay.
So let's start with the first of those. And the first of those questions is, where do you see yourself musically in 5 years' time?
Oh, wow. Of course that question was going to come up. I think, I don't know, as I say, Tearfallz is something that I want to be able to evolve for the rest of my days. So, I'd like to get a couple of tours under my belt. I've been invited to play over Belfast. Whether that's going to happen, in the early part of next year, maybe not. So, to take these songs out and play, where do I see myself in 5 years? I don't know, playing music. That's exactly where I see myself. No one gets into the independent music scene for anything other than to meet people on the road and make some memories. That's what I'm here for. As I say, I think I went down on record as saying, like, to me it doesn't matter if just one person likes my song. If one person likes my song, then that means one person understood what I was trying to say.
Okay, that's lovely. Okay, here's a nice easy one for you. How many guitars have you got, Katie?
Okay, so where we see, I still have my first guitar. It's a beat up Yamaha guitar. Bought it from Cash Converter for about £40. And I love that guitar. Have it in the lounge, kicking around so I can throw it over the settee. I've got another acoustic guitar called Rocky. and he normally used to come to work with me, so he's kind of like a bit beat up. And I've got a bass guitar, which I did a 13-track album in Wayside Studios in Bath back in 1990 something, and I still have that album, but so that's 3, and then we move on to the ones that pretty much stay in bags, so they're nice and safe. So I've got my ESP LTD Explorer, which is a beautiful guitar. Quick story about that: I had Gary Newman. Is that I think anyway his guitar tech changed the strap point on it so the ESP Explorer could fit, like it didn't sort of drop. And then I got my Ibanez RG Storm, so now we're up to 5, and then this one is 6. I think that's right. Yeah. So Daisy is 6. But obviously this new one coming in is number 7. 7's a lucky number, right? So I think this guitar that's coming in December is going to be, I don't know, I'm looking forward to playing it, you know, on stage. I think it's going to, I don't know, I'm excited.
What made you choose that guitar?
So this, yeah, I don't want to give too much away about it. It's a shape that I don't own, but I suppose one of my idols plays something similar, and I wanted something that was different to the guitars that I had. So this kind of inspired me to get this one, and this is going to kind of kick my ass to doing some solos. So yeah, this guitar has everything it needs to do. It will push me as an artist.
Fantastic. Listen, we've got one more question to go.
Okay. Well, I want to just take this opportunity to say thanks again for everyone stopping by. But yeah, no, go.
Okay, so your last question that's come into the question and answer this evening is, if you were going to give some advice to someone young who wants to start out in music and have a similar journey as you, what would you say to them?
You know, I think music really is a huge. It's just such a good therapy to kind of have in your life. You know, a lot of people listen to music and will lean on music in both good and bad times. But to play an instrument, if someone had an inkling to play, I would say go and find someone else that you can jam with. It's much better experience if you're playing alongside someone else that you can just have a laugh with. Don't take it too seriously. Don't beat yourself up because you think you're not good enough. You know, it's a musical instrument is an expression of yourself, and there's no one else like yourself in this world. So, you know, I would just encourage the life out of anyone that wants to play keyboard or guitar or drums, or you know. So you have my utmost respect if you pick up an instrument, and I couldn't encourage you more.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that does bring us to the end of the questions that have been submitted, unless anyone watching has got any other questions that they'd just like to put in the comments there. But, you know, on behalf of all of us and of JJ Music, we just want to wish you the very best with Tearfallz for this and the coming year. And with the amount of passion and emotion and dedication that you've got behind it, it can only be a success. So we look forward to joining you, albeit virtually in some cases, on your tour and your adventures next year.
Yeah, definitely. I have a YouTube channel which you can check out. I try to blog, especially if I'm on the road. That was my intention this year, to blog all the way through the tour with different people that I was meeting, and just the adventures that you get up to while travelling the country. So hopefully this will happen next year. A big shout out to every musician out there who's struggling right now. You know, I'm left speechless really. It is incredibly difficult times. And thanks again to JJ Music for kind of like taking me on as an artist and helping me develop. And hopefully we can bring the best out of Tearfallz and my next band project. So thanks again for everybody joining me and joining us this evening. And have yourself a great weekend.
Well, that brings us to the end of this Q&A. Where's the best place people can follow you and Tearfallz? Is it on Facebook or YouTube?
Yeah, definitely Facebook. Hit up Tearfallz. Add me on Facebook. But you can also follow the YouTube channel. There's a Tearfallz channel. There's my own blog channel. So yeah, just simply stick into Google Kate Eden or Tearfallz and something will come up. But it'll be great to hear from you. Any promoters that's watching, feel free to hit me up. Maybe we can sort something out for next year on a low key type thing. But again, much love to all the musicians out there, and stay safe, everyone.
And you guys have got your job now. Share this away, get it all on your pages, drum up lots of support for Tearfallz, because when we can finally hit the road again and we can really all be together again properly, then, it's what a fabulous way to celebrate that, listening to the infamous Katie Eden and Daisy in Tearfallz. So listen, this is us signing out now. Say goodnight.